We want to welcome you to our grade 5 and 7 spring concert. And thank you all so much for attending tonight's concert and supporting these wonderful, awesome young musicians that are before you this evening. You're in for a real treat this evening as we showcase the talents of our 5th graders who have been playing for 86 days, and the 7th graders who are actually in their 3rd year of playing their instrument. It's going to be really cool this evening to hear the difference between the 5th and 7th graders. And 5th graders, when you guys are switching places later on with the 7th graders, you're out there listening, listen very carefully to the 7th graders, because this is what you guys are going to sound like in a couple of years. Before we get going with the formal part of the concert, I do have a couple brief announcements I'd like to go over. First of all, the wonderful high school students who are passing out programs to you on the way in this evening, they will be greeting you on the way out of the auditorium as you exit this evening, and they will be collecting sheet music donations. So if you would like to give to our donation fund that purchases new sheet music for us at the middle school, that would be greatly appreciated. Also, thank you to all of you folks that brought in or baked great desserts and so forth for our reception after the concert. Make sure that you all please stick around and join us out in the cafeteria for our reception. And I'd like to thank our Canfield band parent members at large representatives, Lisa Farley and Laura Volinick, for organizing this reception. The next announcement goes out just basically to 7th grade students and 7th grade parents. You may remember from last year when your child was in 6th grade, they have the opportunity to play the national anthem at a Mahoning Valley Scrapper game on Monday, June 17th. And there are order forms and information about it on this music stand here at the front of the auditorium. If you'd like to get some information about that and the ticket order form, please help yourself after the concert. Just come down front and take one off that music stand there. I have sent home this information through an email as well, so if you might want to go back through that email and you can find the same information there as well. All right, so we're going to get started with the 5th grade band this evening. They've performed a lot of music and get in preparation for tonight's concert. You're going to hear the kids start off with some really, really kind of simple songs, maybe using only 4 notes, some simple whole notes or half notes or quarter notes. As the music progresses, though, you're going to hear them starting to play a little bit faster music, using 8th notes, and using even more notes than just the 4 notes that we begin with. So it's been a great, great learning experience. We talked a little bit today in our full band rehearsal about remembering what it was like back in late September, early October when they were just starting. And we actually talked about the very first day when they went to their Jumpstart lesson and they had to learn how to open the case the right direction so things didn't go falling out when they opened up the case. And now here we are a few months later, and they are sounding amazing. So we hope you enjoy the Canfield Village Middle School 5th grade band. At this time, we have a really special treat for you. Mr. Carden, one of our paraprofessionals who works with the French horn students, he mostly worked with these kids pretty much every Monday and Wednesday throughout the school year. And he's prepared a neat little piece, Ode to Joy by Beethoven. And our 6 awesome French horn players are going to do a great job on this. So we hope you enjoy Ode to Joy. While Mr. Card's making his way off the stage and hearing those 6 great French horns, it makes a great time for me to announce we have 2 more concerts this week. And if you enjoy what you're hearing and you'd like to hear some more great middle school and high school music, tomorrow evening here in the auditorium at 7 p.m. will be our 6th grade band and our 8th grade band. And that concert's going to feature 6 French horn players from the 8th grade on a Mozart concerto piece. They're doing awesome with that. And then on Thursday night, our 2 high school bands, the high school concert band and high school symphonic band, will be performing here at 7 o'clock in the auditorium as well. So if you'd like to come back and hear some more music, please feel free to do so. We got a couple more songs for the 5th grade band to play for you, but before they do, hopefully you've heard how well these kids are doing. You're hearing that progress, I guess, for at home that you've been hearing all school year long. It certainly didn't sound like this back in September, October. I'm sure you would all agree. So how about if we give these 5th graders another round of applause for how great they sound. Parents, look forward to getting some emails from me over the next few weeks as we kind of wind down the school year. I'll be giving you some helpful tips and some things to think about over the summertime to keep these young folks playing those instruments and get as much playing time as they can during the summer, give you some ideas of what you can work on over the summer, and so forth. And then they'll come back just ready to do great things in 6th grade. So we'll finish out our portion with the 5th grade band. Okay, the 7th grade band is ready to go, and they would like to begin their portion of tonight's concert with an original composition by Roland Barrett, and it's called Racing the Sun. And this title comes from a phrase used by solar-powered car enthusiasts to describe the act of piloting their exotic vehicles. In 1982, a Danish-born adventurer named Hans Thorstrup designed and built the world's very first solar-powered car. He dubbed it the name Quiet Achiever. And Thorstrup tested his creation's speed and reliability by driving it across the Australian continent from Sydney to Perth, a distance of over 4,000 kilometers. Inspired by Thorstrup and the Quiet Achiever, other solar car enthusiasts in Australia quickly began to envision a larger event, perhaps a race that would draw cars and teams from all over the world. So in 1987, their dreams became a reality with the inception of the first World Solar Challenge. Today, every 2 years, the brightest minds and most innovative racing teams in the world converge in this stunning setting to push themselves and their machines to the limit, to compete on a worldwide stage and to experience the flat-out joy of streaking silently across the Aboriginal plains, racing the sun. So would you please welcome to the podium our YSU student teacher this semester, Miss Kayla Conrad, to conduct Racing the Sun. Next, the 7th grade band is going to perform for you a tune entitled March of the Flats and Sharps. It was written by a band director by the name of Steve Wampler, and he wrote this march specifically for middle school bands, and he did it so that middle school kids would get a chance to play a chromatic scale that's really relevant by applying it to a piece of music that's fun and enjoyable to play. So we hope you enjoy the March of the Flats and Sharps. So as many of you know, especially the 7th grade parents that have been around the band program for a few years, you guys know that we're really fortunate here in Canfield Schools to have a great teaching staff and a wonderful support staff of some paraprofessionals. I want to take just a moment to recognize their names. Some of them are probably in the audience, and some maybe not, but I'll recognize all of them, and we can give them a nice round of applause at the end, please. Mr. Drevna is our percussion parapro. Mr. Rollo, trumpet parapro. Mr. Carden, who you saw earlier, works with the French horns. Mr. Colella on clarinet, and Mrs. Volnick on flute. So how about a nice round of applause for all of our wonderful parapros. We're going to take just a moment to actually feature one of our sections that works with one of the parapros. The trumpet section has worked really hard with Mr. Rollo, and they are going to perform a piece of music called The King's Trumpets. For the next selection, the 7th grade band is going to perform another original composition, this time by Paul Murtha. It's entitled The Legend of Castle Armagh. And there's a little story about this that Mr. Murtha wrote about it. He says that The Legend of Castle Armagh is a programmatic piece with 3 themes. The first, Mist on the Bog, is meant to take the listener to a quiet, peaceful sunrise as the mist rises from the bog and reveals the natural beauty of the surrounding landscape. The second is Hall of the Nobles, and here he was imagining a great hall complete with colorful banners hanging from a very high vaulted ceiling, a place where the chieftains and the clans would meet to discuss the important issues of the day, perhaps celebrate significant events, and plan military strategy. The third theme, Battle at Stone Meadow, starts with just the snare drum and gradually builds by adding rhythmic and melodic elements. At this point, the battle is won, and we will return to the Hall of the Nobles theme, and then close gently by restating the opening theme, The Mist of the Bog. The next song, titled Bumble Bee Blues, was inspired by the familiar tune Flight of the Bumblebee by Rimsky-Korsakov. It is designed as a teaching piece for every melodic instrument in the band to play at least one full concert B-flat chromatic scale someplace in the piece. We hope you enjoyed John Edmondson's Bumble Bee Blues. Next, we're going to feature one more section of the band this evening, the flute section, and they've been working really, really hard on a arrangement by Eric Osterling, Chim Cheree, from the movie Mary Poppins. Before we play our last selection this evening, I would just like to thank a couple people that work really, really hard with our band department. First of all, Mr. Fay. He comes up from C.H. Campbell on Mondays. He gets to work with our low brass kids in the morning, and then he comes back after school to do what we call tuba time, and he works with our 5th and 6th graders after school on Monday. So I really want to thank Mr. Fay, and I think he's backstage somewhere. How about a nice round of applause, please, for Mr. Fay? All his hard work. I'd also like to thank Mr. Kelly, our high school band director, who you guys will get to meet here in the next few years, 7th graders and 5th graders. Mr. Kelly is a great supporter, a friend of mine, great colleague. I've known him for many, many years. In fact, he started when he was a student at YSU. He came out for some of his clinical experience here to Canfield, and that's where he and I first met. And then, lo and behold, years later, he was very fortunate enough to land the gig here in Canfield. So I want to thank Mr. Kelly for all of his continued support. I also would like to thank Mr. Rubin, who's in the audience tonight, and Mr. Flood. But Mr. Rubin was very gracious over the last couple days while we had the testing going on in the various grade levels. While some grade levels are testing, other grade levels had a little bit of downtime, where we were fortunate enough in band and choir to pick up some extra rehearsal time yesterday and today. So thank you to Mr. Rubin for all your great support of the band and choir. Thank you very much. And, of course, last but not least, I want to thank all you audience members for being here this evening, because without you folks, we wouldn't have nobody to play for. And we practice this music so hard, and the kids work so hard at it and sound so good at it, we enjoy playing for a live audience. That's what music is all about, and playing in the arts. So thank you so much for being here. Just a quick reminder as you exit that there will be some high school students collecting donations for our Sheet Music Fund, and for sure you stick around for the reception afterwards. Scrapper tickets, order forms are up here on the music stand at the front of the auditorium. And we would like to close the class of 2000, or what class are you guys? 26 for you guys, 24 for these guys. And they are going to be closing out with a song that was made very popular by Camila Cabello. And we hope you enjoy our rendition of Havana.